Good morning. It's Thursday, December 29th. As this is our last video for 2011, I thought I'd take the opportunity to review our top stories and thoughts about the past year. Obviously, our biggest story of the year was the Japanese earthquake and tsunami. There was a horrific loss of life, and much of the seafood infrastructure in the northeast coast of Japan was destroyed. But the big story coming out of the earthquake and tsunami was what didn't happen. After the Fukushima nuclear power plant began leaking radiation, there were widespread fears that there would be a massive reaction on the part of consumers who might fear contaminated seafood from the Pacific. This did not materialize. Although in some Asian countries there was, for a while, a preference for non-Japanese seafood, in Europe and North America and the rest of the world, there was no real connection between seafood from the Pacific and possible radiation contamination. And part of this was due to the very quick action that ASME, the FDA, and other government officials took to knock down any rumors being spread by anti-nuclear activists like Greenpeace. Another major story was the issue of illegal fishing and corruption. There was a major seizure of illegal Russian king crab, or allegedly illegal Russian king crab, about 250,000 pounds in Seattle. And Harbor Seafoods, who was the importer, actually bought this crab back at auction, paying more than $2.5 million for it. And of course, once they'd repurchased it from NOAA, of course they could sell it, and they're fighting the allegations that this was illegal seafood. Our other top stories included various seafood executives who'd gone to jail for mislabeling, deliberately mislabeling seafood. In some cases, it was mislabeling Alaska products. In other cases, it was mislabeling shrimp. But in all cases, it was an attempt to cheat customers by selling a more expensive seafood and substituting a cheaper one. Finally, looking back at last year and our end-of-year story at 2010, one of the major things that we found was the resurgence in optimism about seafood stocks, and the fact that so many stocks were improving, that fisheries management seemed to be becoming more effective in many parts of the world, and that the whole idea of doom and gloom and fisheries being fished to extinction was increasingly being discredited in consumer minds. This is all still very true, but in 2011 we've had to deal with some setbacks. Specifically, for example, Pacific halibut. The stock was not as robust as scientists had originally thought. They've revised their biomass significantly downward. New England cod, another example where the scientists are quarreling and maybe revising their estimates down significantly. Alaska pollock. Alaska pollock still healthy, but fishing was disappointing. And the 2012 pollock attack was set in the midst of some sort of controversies. All of these have sort of led to the idea that stocks can increase and decrease, and the optimism that we felt about seeing more ground fish in the world, more whitefish, some real long overdue increases in wild fish production, has to be tempered. And that's where we stand going into 2012. At this point, it's too early to know whether the kind of supply shortages and mismatch with consumer demand that we saw in 2011 that really made it a seller's or supplier's year, it's too early to know if that's going to continue. There are some signs that seafood production is going to increase, particularly in salmon and shrimp. And there's also signs that consumer demand for seafood globally is remaining very strong. And so, at least preliminarily, we're looking at a healthy 2012. So, from all of us at seafoodnews.com, best wishes for the new year, and we wish you a prosperous 2012. In Lexington, Mass., this is John Sackton.